Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you and we submit ourselves to you. We ask you, God, to allow us to understand and be able to use your wisdom, Father, in decisions that are made. Father, we thank you for our Sheriff's Department, our law enforcement, our EMS and fire departments, Lord, in Hendry County. We ask you, God, to please keep them safe, Father, and to just protect their lives. We ask, God, that you would be here in this meeting, and we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Tuesday, January 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, and Interim County Attorney Edward Dion, and Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Thank you. This is County Board of Commissioners. First of all, we'd like to thank the lawyer for stepping in. He don't look like Mark, but we hope he do just as good of a job. This is, we ask anyone that wants to speak that there's cards over there, please fill out the card. We ask that you mute your phones if you have a phone, and also we ask that your time limit is 3 minutes, please. We ask that you accommodate yourself to that. The first things up is bids. This is the location of Holland Garden Community Sidewalks.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the recommendation with Manhattan Road and Bridge Company. And the only question I had, and I saw that y'all checked references with other people that have done, you felt good about everything.
Yes, sir, we did.
DOT has come through for us, so we're ready to go.
Yes, sir, they're comfortable. And they actually, just to point out, there is a companion item later under consent that covers the shortfall in funding.
Yes, sir.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The agenda,
Motion to approve. Second.
motion by Commissioner Wells, second by Commissioner Howell. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We are now for our awards. This year, Hendry County recognized the month of January of Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. We have Ms. Deputy Wanda in the back. I'm gonna read this into minutes. It says the proclamation of the Board of County Commissioner of Hendry County, Florida, recognized the month of January as Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month, whereas the United States was founded upon the principles that all people are created by the unalienable rights and to freedom, and added to the 13 amendments to the Constitution of making slavery illegal, whereas increased community education and how to identify victims of human trafficking, along with increasing knowledge of local research and service for those affected by criminal actions, can help restore freedom, determination to identify survivors, as well as help distinguish the number of future victims. Whereas business, community organizations, faith communities, families, individuals can make a difference by working to protect our youth, our young people from sexual exploitation, and by adding the problem of the internet, sexual trafficking, pornography, and by being more aware of problems and possible solutions. Whereas Hendry County Board of Commissioners are supportive of community outreach and educated legislative advocate training, promoting of service to survivors of human trafficking, calibrating with the law enforcement. And now, therefore, the Hendry County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of January 2023 as Slave and Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month, duly considered and adopted by the Board of Commissioners of Hendry County, Florida, this 10th day of the month, 2023. We're gonna ask that Deputy Hendry, if you would come up front to present this to you. Emily, if you would. Also, I'm gonna give it back to you later. thank you so much. We appreciate the work that you do. She do go out in the communities to make sure that everyone is aware, so we'd like to say thank you. The next one is a presentation for Jesse Robinson family and the community. In 1994, Jesse Robinson was an inspired leader in the Harlem community of Florida and was the first African-American elected to sit on the Hendry County Board of Commissioners, inducted into the Board of Commissioners in November 24, 1994. Jesse Robinson was a dedicated member of the Harlem community who dedicated his time and talent to serve those around him. The purpose of this was because as I have a 96-year-old father, and my daddy believed in history, and he believed that we need to know where we came from, people that paved the way for us, and the purpose of our youth and the people in the community could be the first. And he was the first, and we want to make sure that he's recognized. Not only do we have certificates for the family, but we will mount this on the wall at the Civic Center so they will ask questions and remember who he is and what he's done in the community. I believe that he also, and I was young. I remember Jesse with my uncle, but some things that he done, one of them was he was a people for power, and he was the one that caused to put in the to induct, let me get the right word, for voting rights for our community. So I want to remember him, and I want the community to remember, and I want the youth to remember him so they can say he was the first and I can be the first. It's a motivation to know that we had such a great person in our community and in our lives. So we will present this plaque to his family, and so I did notify them, so I don't see any of them here at the time, but it will be mounted on the Harlem Civic Center in Harlem to recognize him, and we do have Dixon. I'm sorry, because I did call Miss Dixon. Okay, I apologize. And if she would come up, okay.
It'll be the Holmes' family.
Okay. So we're going to ask you all to come up if there is any family member here. That'll make it a little more appropriate.
Ms. Bird, y'all want to go down and take?
Yeah.
You want to go down and take the picture?
Yeah.
I just remember him as Kelvin's daddy. And that was the baddest running back we had. So.
That you remember?
I never saw him in anything but a county deputy vehicle. I never remember seeing Mr. Robinson not in his green and a county deputy. Right. All even.
No, that was his brother though, right?
Bruce, remember? Crazy how it is.
All right, everyone ready?
So much. I'm gonna give you a certificate. I want to make sure that you had something to remember him by. And I know he's in your heart, so I know you remember other ways. And this will be mounted on the Civic Center, in the next couple of days at the Hollis Civic Center.
Madam Chair, can I say something?
Yes, you can.
I think it's robbery if we don't say. In 1992, when Jesse was elected to the Board of County Commissioner, we struggled hard in that community to get representation on this board and on the school board. And he was very instrumental in making that happen. So in 92, when he was elected, him and Dwayne were the first two to represent our communities, him on the commission, Dwayne on the school board. It was really an honor and a privilege. He was what we call a quiet giant. Got stuff done behind the scenes and everything. And it was so fortunate for me that I was able to be with him from the time that he was elected in 92 until his deathbed. And on his deathbed, he made some issues that we carried through on that. So Jesse is a person that anybody in this county would always remember. He was the very first person that I think made it possible for us to be seen as real people with a voice, not as seen as people, but with a real voice. And so we're ever so grateful for that. And we're grateful to the commission for thinking of him, to honor him in this way. Even though there might not be anything named after him, his name carries itself. And for that, we're grateful. So thank you so much.
Ms. Taylor, Ms.
Yes,
Taylor,
sir.
I hate to belabor the point. But one thing that you just struck me with was you said he was able to give. I don't know how you just said it, but
I could
re-saying it was he was able to give a section of our society, a section of our community, a voice. You were with him from beginning to end, and so many other people were. And I've shared this with you. I've shared this with Ms. Bird. I'm 46 or 47 or 45. I don't know exactly. And I always look back on my first day of kindergarten, walking into Clueston Primary School. And I swear to y'all, this is something that is so impactful to me. And I'm so thankful that we have a black man leading Clueston High School right now. And it takes years for you to grasp how influential that is on just your everyday psyche, and how it beats down systemic racism, and how it has an impact community-wide. And I look back in my mind's eye, and I remember walking into Clueston Primary School, and finally there was a man that was as big as my dad. He had a booming voice. He reached out, he shook Doyle's hand, he was sharp dressed, and he had a presence about him. And I think back to Mr. McKyer and the fact that I didn't get to honor Mr. McKyer while he was on the planet. And it hurts me every time I think about it. And the fact that y'all are doing this for Mr. Robinson, the fact that Ms. Bird has stepped up so many times as a professional educator, has gone to her heart. I know for years you served and still do to this day. I see Ms. Dixon there. Ms. Dixon used to light me up all the time in the hallways. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that in my mind's eye, that first day of school, because I didn't go to VPK. We didn't have VPK back then, but I didn't go to primary school. It was Cricket and Betty Lou's and Miss Whitney's school of primary, and then go to the primary school. And I just remember going to Miss Clary's class, and I remember Mr. McKyer walking me down the hallway, and he took me from Big Doyle and took me right into school on my first day of school. And I had a buddy for the rest of the time until Mr. Baker took over, and then I was boys with Mr. Baker too, but he was as big as me. And it's amazing how that sits back in my mind's eye. And there was this big black man that was in charge of our school, and how impactful that was for me. And so I never saw that you couldn't be a black man and be in charge, And I think that that's helped me in so many ways in my life in dealing with society, So anyway, thank you, Ms. Bird, for doing this, and thank you, Ms. Taylor, for having your comments.
And you said something that just struck a nerve with me too, Commissioner Turner, is that we did not recognize Mr. McKyer in any kind of way. And when I came before you all and you all denied that hurt me to the core. But at some point, I'm hoping that
We're going to.
you're okay.
Yeah, we're going
I
to.
just, that
I already
really.
know. I already know.
really
So I already got you. So, yep. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank the family for sharing him with us. Like I said, I was young, so I really don't know all of his immediate family. I remember him being with my uncle, but as I began to look back over the things that he done in the community, I thought it would be robbery for our young people not to know who he was. So thank you again for sharing him. I always think about Miss Dixon. I don't know why, but that's the first person that I thought about. I'm like you. She tear you up, boy. It didn't
Right
matter.
now.
So some people go tell their mama they never told on Miss Dixon. So, but thank you all so much, and we do appreciate it. And thank you for coming. At this time, we are with staff or this engineer.
Public hearing.
This is a public hearing, and anyone from the public wishes to speak, they may do so at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Bird, Madam Chair, I make a motion, unless the board has a strong desire,
Thank you, Ms. D.
I make a motion to approve the annual and 5-year plan for public housing as presented. The voucher
Second.
plan.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Motion passes. I'm sorry. Everyone agree?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. If you have anything you want to say, are you good?
Good, Ms. Cass?
Just to let the board know that we did not receive any comments from the community about the annual or 5-year plan, so no comments was given.
Madam Chair, I was glad to hear that our project managers get involved in this process.
Amen.
Going forward, there's gonna be some changes, so I was very, very pleased to hear that today.
Yes, I did have a meeting with him, and I think it's gonna be awesome for Sabrina to have that person in-house to help her. And, maybe we won't have some of the complaints that we did have in the past, because you have a different body, a different eye, so thank you so much. At this time, well, Mark's not here. I'm just joking. There's nothing on your agenda, but you have the floor.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to report that I have no report.
Thank you.
Great first day, thank you.
Mr. Parker, there's nothing under you, so we're gonna go ahead on to Jennifer Davis, County Administrator.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is to speak about the Selection Committee staff report for the county attorney recruitment process. Before you, there's a write-up that was prepared by Ms. Bustamante. She's here tonight if you have any questions, but you've got several options laid out for you for discussion tonight on how you'd like to move forward with the interview process with the attorney candidates.
After looking at no one, I would like to, if you could set up meetings for all of us to meet them individual, those that choose to. Maybe their application was enough for some of them, but I would love to have the opportunity to meet them.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for option 1, approve staff to schedule one-on-one interviews with the top 2 ranking candidates for county attorney position.
Madam Chair?
I'd like,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, I'd like to have all 3 interviewed, actually.
That's exactly what my comment was gonna be. I'd like to interview all.
I'd like to do all 3 if we could.
I'm fine with that.
Can you change your motion?
Yeah, I'll amend my motion well, it's not even one of the options, to interview one-on-one all 3 candidates.
Okay.
Second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Turner, all in favor?
Madam,
Aye.
just discussion as it relates to that though. So obviously bringing order to that, I didn't see it, and I'm not critical that we did not have the option to do a Zoom with all of us. And I know that in order for us to do that, it would have to be in a public meeting, correct? Or as it relates to HR, we could actually make that private.
You could do, well, you can let Mr. Dion answer, but I think you could do Zoom one-on-one, or you could do Zoom public. You could do both, but I'll let him answer that.
Right. The rules changed after COVID sort of went away. When we used to be able to do Zoom meetings with all 5 of you.
Yeah.
But now you have to have a physical quorum available whenever you're having a public meeting.
Okay.
And the other 2 or one can participate by Zoom. You can do it if you're doing one-on-ones with them, then you don't have to worry about public meetings. It's only if 2 or more of you are going to be in the same room at the same
Well,
time.
let me tell you all what happened during the county administrator selection process. And I think it was extremely beneficial for us to all 5 be in the room. Because so many times communication is nonverbal, and we would have one of the candidates say something that kind of rubbed, it just came off a little odd, and you saw everybody react to it. And the adverse to that was one of the I remember, just a little anecdote for you. We had 12 or 10 candidates lined up, and I think like 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 2 and number 3 were everybody kind of, I like that person. And then we interviewed Charles, and it was a slam dunk. I mean, it was literally, we all to the person said, let's stop the process. Mark was turning around in his chair going, no, hold on, we have X number of more that we need to do. We've already advertised this. And we brought people in from all over from North America. I mean, we interviewed somebody from way out west. We interviewed somebody from Minnesota. We interviewed a lot of different people. I don't want to turn this process upside down, but I'm just saying, looking at the calendar, making sure that something's not going to pop up, I'd like to have that as an option. And then I don't know, how do we do if it's 5 of us and we agree to 3 questions or we agree to 10 questions? I think that we kind of have to, isn't there a process that we have to ask them the same thing? Or is this now you wanting us to kind of delve in and we can ask them 25 questions, or it can be a 30-second process?
It doesn't have to be uniform.
Okay.
Y'all can decide that, that the chair wants to ask 5 questions, and maybe you've got 10, and maybe the vice mayor only has 1.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the same questions for each of the applicants.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't locking ourselves into that, and it has to be cookie cutter, if you will.
Yeah.
Because that got weird as well. Because, you know, as a conversation flows, sometimes it's just
Yeah, something else comes up and you have different questions to ask.
and you
yeah.
want to let them go on their tangent to see what's going on. I remember the Don Stillwell. And it's too much information, but Don Stillwell cut his head off because he bragged to us about the fact that he had, I think it was like 393 direct reports. And I remember even his number one fan was like, you have 393 directors that report to you. We have 187 people countywide. You know, this is not the same animal that we're
Yeah.
talking about. And then he had a then he brought up a point about FDOT, and I think that we have a wonderful relationship with FDOT. I think that what you have created with the Florida Department of Transportation, with what you've done from a diplomatic standpoint, from what Emily's done, and how when we pick up the phone, I don't think it's us crying wolf. I don't think it's us saying, hey, you got to do this, and we're holding a stick over them and beating them with it. I think it's a symbiotic relationship. And he made it just point blank that, you know, Lee County squishes FDOT, and they push them around, and they better do what they have to say, you know, and all that stuff. And I was like, that ain't how it's going to work. And I don't think we want that coming here, because now, you know, we're fighting for scraps a lot of times. And then we stopped that. We started getting aggressive and getting a lot of successes. And I just think that, you know, you got to be careful of that. So anyway, I wanted to have the ability to be able to Skype with a candidate if y'all thought, you know, that you weren't going to be able to make the time, if everybody's all locked in. And then I just didn't know what y'all thought about all five of us being able to sit in a room. And then if we can do it in person, that's wonderful, you know. And you're telling me that we can sit in a room as five commissioners, have so-called candidates sitting right there, and we can have any conversation with
But
them.
it's open to the public, correct?
No, it has to be open to the public. They don't have to participate.
Right.
But they have to be able to be sitting in the room.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything
And-
bad about
No,
it.
no, absolutely not.
Commissioner Turner, that's exactly the way I was hired in Broward County.
Yeah.
Is I had 7 commissioners, and they just fired at us.
Yeah.
And one applicant at a time, right? And the rest of them are isolated, so they don't hear the same stuff.
So I wanted to put that out there. Y'all think about it, but I'm all about doing exactly what we have written down as well.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I just wanted to put that out there because I really did think that it was beneficial, and I started thinking about that after I spoke with you today. And I don't think it adds too much of a wrinkle. I mean, I literally think it's the same day. We just add it up as a point, you know, or in the morning or in the afternoon. It's just one more thing to add.
Can I ask a question?
So-
Do you want them in person, or are you okay for them to participate via Zoom?
What do you?
I like to have them in
I
person.
like to
I
have
think
them
it
in
would be
person.
best if they're in person.
Okay,
But like, let's just say Commissioner Iglesias has you know, he has to be somewhere, or Commissioner Wills has to be. I would like for them to be able to log in and be able to sit, and we may not say a word. We may just sit there and witness, but I want that to be an option. So that's just my thoughts. Okay.
Okay?
We could schedule that for the next meeting as well, couldn't we? Prior to the meeting, we have plenty of time to schedule that.
you could. We were talking about the 23rd before the 24th meeting, but if you're going to do it like that, that was a
We could
little
do it the
different than
24th.
what we just
Yeah, the
talked about
advertising.
earlier. You could do it right before the meeting on that Tuesday if you wanted, because we're already going to, as in LaBelle, we're already going to be together anyway. If you wanted to do that, we could do that in, we'll get the details as to where I'll get with Carl, and we'll figure out if we can do that in the boardroom or if we need to do that somewhere else. And then we'll have to advertise it properly. Do we have enough time to advertise? Okay.
Yeah, remember, you don't have to, the new law, you don't have to advertise by newspaper. You can just do it on our website and our social media page.
But it has to be so many days still, right? No?
That I'm not,
We had kind of an
Right, right.
but I
Okay,
think it's the rules of
right, okay.
okay.
So the direction of the board is that she set up a meeting with all of us prior to the county commissioner meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, next we have the, oh, that was it, old business. Once again, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? We're gonna go with old business. There are none. So
Just old business for me, Miss Bird, is Shane 83527 red light. The ability to have that assessed. I requested it, but do you know if I want to say the number you threw off the hip was like 18 grand. We had it, but we may have already had it done. You were going to look and see. And,
I have not reviewed the
Okay.
signal analysis report for that intersection yet.
okay. Could you please do that?
Yes.
It is really, it's mind boggling. Knock on wood, we're not going to have somebody else get hurt. And then one other thing, I think this may be in his wheelhouse now, but we discussed putting cameras up or having like a rotation. We had a group of cameras that we were going to potentially buy, and then we were going to rotate them of sorts. Did that occur, and are we putting them out? And there's something, because the reason why I ask is, there's something on Old 27 right now, and I don't know what its capabilities it possesses from its ability to look down where the main intersection of Art Lawrence and Old 27 is kind of like the hot spot where all the dumping occurs. Remember back in the day, the cleanups and all that stuff? Yeah. But I mean, with what technology has now, I can take my iPhone and zoom down there. But I think that's already serving a positive benefit. I don't think it's happening as much, but the level of a racetrack that's on Art Lawrence is kind of scary. And then they just come right around that corner. Y'all know we had a death down there probably a year and a half ago. We had a young person that was killed on that corner. And it's so few people that for that to occur. And it's nuts how people race up and down that road. But if we had those cameras, I'd love to make that a spot that they rotate through. So I just want to get an update on those.
Yes, sir. We do have the cameras that we installed last year, I believe it was. We have not rotated them. I believe we had some minor movements within certain communities just to get better angles of the roads.
Yes, sir.
But they are working. Matter of fact, I've spoken with Sergeant Allen in the back, and whenever we get people dumping, actually he's getting emails and phone calls from me whenever it happens.
Awesome.
What's pretty cool about the camera system, and Sergeant Mr. Hudson's here. If you think it's like a white van, you can go to those flock cameras or the computer program and actually look for a white van, so you're not scanning through hours upon hours of film, and that's huge. Yeah. In the Port LaBelle area, we're facing a lot of issues with theft with construction, and they've had the opportunity to nab some, and there's something good about that.
We need an additional camera, or just need to move a camera?
No,
Maybe
I just
change-
want to know what the
Rotate 'em.
capabilities. Because
Okay.
the one that's mounted on Old 27, I want to make sure that they can pick up on that intersection of Art Lawrence and Old 27 with and I believe it's our camera that's there. And I just want to make sure that it has those capabilities because, like I said, the racetrack process out there is a little bit frightening. Yes, sir. That, and then the Rogers Road, I think, is one of the big dumping areas, and so I just wanted to touch base with you. So, thank you.
We're gonna move on to, by district, Commissioner
Okay,
Lacy.
I have a few things. Number one, Jennifer, you used to give us a report for our county commission meetings with old business like follow-ups. Can we get back to doing that?
Sure.
Where are we at on the improvements for the tag office with ARPA funds?
So we just got Mr. Sabella started.
I figured.
And so we haven't really jumped into that, but it is on his radar. I've talked to him about the project. We've had a few emergency projects since he started that he's working on right now, but we'll get that going.
Okay. And talking about the tag office, Shane, you went out there and looked at that parking lot on the north side. Can we do something on that pavement? Because I'm telling you, it's not if, it's when somebody falls, and we'll be using this gentleman in the black suit over there.
I did look at the pavement. It does need to be addressed, but I believe there's other improvements at the sub-office that are,
Well, and so a little bit of our conversation with that earlier this week or last week, whenever it was brought to my attention, is the overall project as a whole, we're looking to consolidate all those entrances. And so the question I had is, what does that look like? Are there gonna, in the immediate, if it needs to be done immediately for emergency purposes, by all means, we need to do something, but just from a complete repaving project, I just wanted to look at the big picture to see what we were doing as far as consolidating all those entrances, and if we weren't gonna be using that entrance like we are now, then maybe we would do something maybe a little different. Still address the issue immediately, but maybe not in the same way that we otherwise would.
Okay, so like I said before, I'm just
Okay.
really concerned about a liability issue. Kim, I don't know if you've had any staff members fall in that area?
No, that's fell out
Ryan, I know you're working on providing us reports for our district specifically as things go into those areas. But Margaret used to give us a report of show us the permit numbers on a month-to-month basis or year-to-date compared to the year before, including code cases of what they've closed out.
In summary.
I would love to get that. That was really good information for us to have. And the last thing is, Shane, I got a text last night for a home being built right off Keystone and Raintree, and the builder is busting up the road there on the edge, and it's all along the lot. It's not like where the driveway is going to be. I reached out to Lynn. He said you guys had a conversation probably years ago that, yeah, they're liable, but does something really happen? You know, what does that look like? Is that something that Port LaBelle CDD forces, or is that something that
It
we need to be doing
depends.
as a building department?
Well, it depends on the damage to the road, like what kind of damage is. Some stuff happens, can you contribute to the builder or not, but it's a case-by-case basis. But is the damage on Raintree or to Keystone? It should be
It's
on
on
Keystone.
Keystone. It's on Keystone. It's a foot into the road, and it's probably about 20 feet worth. I mean, they're busting it up pretty good.
So what would happen on that was when the Port LaBelle CDD issues a right-of-way permit for that driveway culvert, they'll do the inspection and it would fall on Port LaBelle CDD,
Okay.
whether they want to make something happen or not. Because if it was a county road, then we would go in and enforce that. They'd bring it to my attention, we'd look at it. We had a similar issue in Oak Haven Estates where we had a builder did not properly access the property, damaged the road, and we would not give a CO until they fixed
Okay.
the roadway.
Okay.
So,
right.
Port LaBelle CDD, if they determine it's to the builder, then they would not issue the right-of-way approval, and then the CO would get held up.
Perfect. That's all from me.
Commissioner Howard?
Thank you. Madam Chair, I would like to bring to our board some issues and concerns brought to myself by our constituents who live in the Parkwood Estates subdivision in LaBelle. These concerns have arisen from the new hotel construction plan for property adjoining Parkwood Estates. Residents of this subdivision have shared with me the following concerns, and while we do not yet know the exact impact regarding any of these issues, I believe it's our responsibility to look out for the well-being when changes could have a negative impact. And some of those concerns have been traffic congestion, privacy loss due to the height of the building, water retention and runoff, and potential domestic water loss. Madam Chair, we have some residents from this community that's in the audience tonight, and they would like to speak to their concerns.
If there's anyone here, if you haven't filled out a card, please fill out one and come up front, please.
And
Right there on that podium.
And while we're waiting, what I would like to ask the board is to, a board approval allowing our staff to work with the city of LaBelle to ensure our constituents' concerns are addressed. They're putting up a JPEG picture of the proposed location in the Parkwood Estates development.
Thank you, ma'am.
So tell me what's that near?
Okay, that's just west of Cowboy Way on Highway 80, and you can see the roads Palm, Pine.
Okay.
That's the subdivision, and the blue rectangle area is the proposed location. And again, no one who's come to me with concerns have expressed any desire not to see this project go. Everybody does want to see it succeed, but they had these concerns that they would like to be addressed so that they don't become an issue after the project's done.
That's next to the Tractor Supply on 80, Commissioner.
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Shane, are you aware of this? So Shane could bring something back after they speak to see if there's anything we can do to help.
For the record, Bob Burns, resident of Parkwood Estates subdivision in LaBelle. I've been asked by the neighborhood to be an advocate, I guess, to speak with you all about our concerns about this proposed property change. I spent the entire summer of 2020 when they were going to put restaurants and storage buildings and repair shops and everything in this property, and they changed the PUD, the LPA, and the zoning then. We got together with the developer, worked it out. 6 weeks later, they closed on the people that own the property now. The biggest situation that we have, if none of the things that we addressed and worked on the original zoning and PUD have only been multiplied by this project. We're talking about a 2-story building that has multiple small businesses in it to a 4-story, 50-foot high hotel, not counting elevation change for construction, that has got 88 rooms and a swimming pool. And the thing that we have an issue with is I'm on the west end of the neighborhood, and we have other people here on that northwest corner. And when you do the triangulation on it and look at it, the top floors of this hotel is, they're going to be able to look right down in our swimming pool, our lanais and whatnot. We're not too far to that, and we have a buffer between there. We're not directly adjacent to the property. But the thing that we're really concerned about is we still have this stormwater runoff problem. They're building this 4-story hotel on 1.93 acres with no ingress or egress or infrastructure, only promises of it. And they're wanting to move on this sort of quickly to get it done so they can start on their coding and environmental and all that.
Is there already a permit out there? Is there a permit?
This is city property, and we are county constituents. We're not in the city.
But they do have a PUD in place for multifamily commercial development that they're amending to allow the 4-story hotel.
The multifamily was 6 apartments, by the way.
You've already been to the city?
Oh, yes. Now, I'm working with the city right now, too. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting with the developer, which was supposed to happen before Thursday, but it's going to be the 18th at 5:30 at City Hall to try to work out some of these differences. But these differences, we're talking about a 3 times bigger project than they talked about before that we couldn't hardly work out. And I don't know how you do not infringe on our rights as property owners and privacy and property values, stormwater runoff, flooding, for a double the size property. Matter of fact, I looked at the one that went by on purpose to the one at Lake Placid, which is going to be a twin to it at 79 rooms. This is 88 rooms. This is an imposing figure, but they've got 4.5 times the property that this is on. And that's one of our main concerns. Now, we are going to work with them, but what we wanted to come tonight to talk about, to try to have the county, if they would, have an open dialogue with the city about our concerns about this and the possibility that perhaps we could all kind of get together on this, because I've been through this before, and we may need the county's help because, again, we're not residents of the city.
Well, thank you so much. Your time is
Thank
up,
you.
but I think that in order for us to do something about it, we need to have a little bit more information, because this is my first time hearing about it. I don't know about anyone else.
I agree, Ms. Bird.
So, if you give us the opportunity for him to give us information, and we can bring it back to the board and see if there's anything that we can do.
If I could, Ms. Bird, we just wanted to have this open dialogue where we can have, I might even have to call Jennifer or something, I mean, you know, just something, because we're not asking you to bail us out or do anything, we're all big boys and girls, but we need the backing of our county commission.
Okay, but this is my first time hearing of, so we'll be able to look a little deeper into it and see what we could do to support and help, okay?
So can we allow county staff to engage with them to a degree to figure out things like water supply and those type of things?
We always work together. County will, the city approaches us, the county staff always engages. One of your biggest issues is gonna be water.
Right.
That subdivision will flood quick, fast, and in a hurry.
As you know, Mitch, Bucky
do.
Burchard had a pump there for 50 years for a reason.
It's gonna be one of your bigger issues. So there is issues with the project. I just heard about it today as well. So we do need more information, but Commissioner Howard, you're on point. Our staff and city staff works together. And our position here would be to protect the constituents that live in that area. But we've got to have the city come in and give the reports, and we'll go from there.
Thank you again.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Is there anyone else?
I live on Park Drive.
If you would come up to the podium and give your name, please. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Richard Creeder. I live on Park Drive, and I have kids. I have 4 kids, and the O'Reillys just got built, and they didn't put in a turning lane there for that or anything of what they did. And traffic has completely doubled in our neighborhood. I've already had to call the sheriff's department multiple times about people speeding through our neighborhood, well over 40, 50 mile an hour. I've gotten to the point where I throw soccer balls at cars. So it gets a little aggravating. If someone hits my kid, it's going to be pretty bad, you know. So putting a hotel right there with no turning lanes and stuff, we're gonna be looking at a pile of more traffic coming through our neighborhood.
You just give us the opportunity to look a little bit deeper into it. We appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
so
Thank you.
much. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak at this time?
My name's Gracie Morton. I actually am directly affected by this. I'm in that corner piece right there. As a county taxpayer, I come to you on this because we knew that the property was commercial when we bought our home. We knew what was coming in there. We did not know about a 4-story prepared or planned hotel. I have grandkids. You know, they're in that pool every day, you know, and I took pictures, and I'm planning on submitting that to the city. Nowhere in my backyard do I not see this piece of property. And I am concerned about, again, the drainage, the security that's coming through there, because like Richard said, the traffic is huge coming in there because they missed the turns just for the O'Reilly property. But now you got a hotel, if they don't have any turning lanes, they're either gonna go to the light, turn into our neighborhood, come back around and make a U-turn there. So it's affecting everybody there. If it goes in there and there's no turning lanes, then it's gonna be awful, because we can't get people to slow down as it is, and then you're gonna triple the traffic coming through there, so, yeah.
Madam Chair, a suggestion to everyone who lives in that community, the more of you that show up to the meeting at the city, it's a lot easier to look at faces than it is the backs of chairs. So I would suggest that as many as you that can be there, when it does come time, that this is going to a PUD amendment is what I understand. So it's not set, it's not all set in stone. There's some of the concerns, you know, the traffic studies will be done. They'll be just, they can't build a wall big enough to keep them from looking in your backyard.
Nope.
So I would suggest as many of you that can, and the city commissioner would probably be mad at me for this, but the more of you that's sitting in that room, the better odds and chances you have of making a difference. So I would get with everyone that lives in there, make them aware of the time and the date of that meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing it to our attention. We appreciate it. You have anything else?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Commissioner Wells?
Just moving forward, we got rainy seasons right around the corner. I want to make sure that our equipment's moving and the drainage areas are being cleaned. Felda, I'm gonna pick on mine in just a little bit. Felda was really good. We had a few hiccups last year, so I'd like to make sure we address that before this time. The Sears Road connection to the railroad ditch going through there. I'd appreciate an update on that. I've asked Jerry a couple times about it, and where are we at on equipment? Have we got our track hose up and going? Are we fully functional now, Mr. Parker, or do you know?
To my knowledge, we're fully functional right now. Right now, we got a lot of crews working in Pioneer Plantation, solving a drainage problem. I want to say the road's 23rd and Riviera. We're taking out trees on Riviera to reduce some flooding. Last couple rain events, we'd had like a foot of water go over that section. We're trying to get it over to the 42-foot canal and then an alternate route to Tampa. So we're actively out there. And we still got work to do in 7K Estates. We did some drainage pipe repairs in Fort Denote Acres that we're letting the pipes settle, and we're gonna pave those sections. And then, we just got our routine maintenance that we're doing.
Yeah, Fort Denote was very, very good. I really appreciate with all the work they've done out there. The guys done an amazing job out there. We do have Sunshine Acres out on 80 that was flooded quite a bit last year as well. I spoke to Jerry about that a little bit. If we could take a look at that, please. But my biggest concern right now would be the Sears Road area. That road's deteriorating. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. The biggest problem is the foundation's underwater. The more water sits there, and you know as well as anyone else. So if we could address that area right there, I'd really appreciate it. That's really all I have going forward, so I appreciate what you guys have done.
Okay.
The Clark Control, where are we at with the mosquito control and all that going on right now?
Mosquito control, we see spraying operations, except at Davis Pratt, we're gonna work on a schedule to do that, because ball season will start, practice will start up, and that's where our biggest complaints come from, that Orange Grove, or the old Orange Grove. We usually start spraying again, depending on trap counts. It may be like April, it could be May, maybe the 1st of June, it just depends. It's never the same every year.
Yeah.
And we're going out for an RFP. We'll be preparing one for mosquito control contract services, which the board approved, I think at this August meeting. we had to let the board, we had to make a decision whether to extend the contract for another year or give notification that we're gonna cease. But the board agreed to go one more year with understanding we're going out for an RFP this year, which we brought back before you. The intent would be to have somebody under contract before the end of this year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parker. That's all, Madam Chair, thank you.
Commissioner Turner?
Just off of that last point that you were just talking about, y'all have zero desire to own 3 or 4 Kubotas or side-by-sides and bring that in-house? No desire, Shane? You've ran the math and it just doesn't pan out?
I did run the math, but I don't wanna, I would just not like to. It's the manpower and then the
I'm talking
equipment.
about hiring new people now. I'm talking about
Right.
hiring more people to have to do that and taking it directly off of, just running it like a microphone. Looking at how much we render versus
Right.
how much we spray and just doesn't happen.
No,
Okay.
I don't think we're big enough
Okay.
personally, but
PLCDD does do that still, don't they?
actually only in Glades, because we took over.
PLCDD,
Okay.
Port LaBelle?
I didn't hear what you said.
Port LaBelle, the board approved prior, and we
took a
do
portion
all
of
the
that?
spraying for Port LaBelle CDD.
Unit
They're
4
now in
separate
the-
though.
The only people in Port LaBelle that we do not spray is Unit 4, Unit 5, which I plan to go see Mr. Zorn and see if they can come under the umbrella of the MSBU.
Right.
And then Glades County, Port LaBelle does that, I guess, on whatever schedule they have.
Right.
And there was discussions with Judy KK, the manager for Port LaBelle CDD, about the possibility of doing something over there for them through our vendor, Clark, and us managing that for them. But they gotta figure out a way to fund that or some kind of funding mechanism, but.
The reason why I ask is
Oh,
just
we do
it's-
Banyan Village too.
It's
a
one of the
portion.
most, it's one of the most brought up complaints.
Yep.
Since I've been elected, and it stays consistently, And I look at the Pioneer community and how sparse, but how much it's growing. Look at Ladika, look at 7K Estates, which we all call Flag Hole. And, it just aggravates those people to death that they can't physically see a bigger presence.
Right.
And I understand, when you look at it and we can pull the GPS up and we can show them that it goes by their house at 1 in the morning, and we can show that it goes by whenever it goes by. But I've wondered about that, and a lot of smaller municipalities do it. I wonder how they're able to do it versus,
Some smaller municipalities don't have that much. I don't know if DeSoto County changed, but they were only using the state funded grant, which is probably now around $38,000. And you just got sprayed what $38,000 did, and that was it.
Yep.
The problem with 7K Estates in certain areas like that is that you're basically surrounded by a cane field. We spray the roads, we get the front, and then you got thousands of acres around you. So when we do an aerial spray, we do at least a mile to half a mile around you, so we just nuke everything. And then a couple days later, they're all hatched back.
The aerial sprays are frightening how well they work.
Right.
But it's on the timing as well, because if a truck's coming by your house at 11 o'clock at night, how effective is that spray?
Well, it's actually mind-boggling how effective it is, but it's how long, and effective's a relative word, right? Because if you were out there at dusk, they were lighting you up,
Right.
And then if you come back out there at dawn in the morning, they're going to light you back up again. I don't care if the truck went by at midnight or not, And it's just,
It's an adulticide that kills just adult mosquitoes and whatever is landing on it, but after that, the next hatch comes out. But it is effective at night. Everybody can't be at the same time at dusk, but
Sure.
we only spray up to certain hours at night, and then we stop. And then we also, if it's real windy,
don't spray.
we won't spray at all. Or if it's rainy inclement, we don't spray, because then it's just wasting money.
I will say that GPS feature I love, because I'll have constituents that say they don't come by my house. They've never come by my house and said, okay, Tommy, 10 minutes later I have the last 3 times what time, how fast they were going, and then they'll go, oh, didn't know that.
That's it, Mr. Turner? Commissioner Turner?
Shane, the only issue I wanted to ask about is I want to put a plan together for sidewalks in the district. I don't know what specifically carrying 835 up to 27, or maybe even just the Shamrock to the existing sidewalk that is there, and then carrying Hooker's Point all the way out as far east as we can go, or at least to affectionately known as the Lettuce Camp. getting a sidewalk on the side of that.
I know, right? Just FYI, I got this.
Are you gonna help, Ms. Bird?
She's the new Dower Hut.
I took Mr. Harrison's
I
place.
know, she took his spot. I know. So I don't know what I have to do, but it's, you know, we just have a high volume of people that are walking through people's yards in John and Red and, you know, the Hidden K or Hidden Estates right there. And, you know, it's very aggravating to people, number one. Number two is somebody's gonna get killed. The volume of traffic coming down 835 and the rate of which they travel, you know, and people, well, you need to call the sheriff's department and tell them to come out. The sheriff's department can't be everywhere all the time, you know, and so.
And it's a community out there that walks back towards
Yes,
Hooker's
ma'am.
Point, yeah.
We can have a community meeting if you want to, have the community weigh in inputs where they want sidewalks at.
I don't think we need,
Or
we
can we
do
just
that.
go, we can
What
do
I'm
the
saying
ones you
is
have,
I
which
wanna
is
look at,
fine.
you know, the community can blow a gasket whether we go on the north side of Hookers Point Road continuing east or the south side of Hookers Point Road continuing east. And I think we're gonna wanna go on the north side. So it'll come right by a whole bunch of people's houses. And it'll be this side of Mr. Gamaro's house and this side of Mr. what is Craig McLeod's pasture and all that stuff. But maybe we look at that. Maybe, you know, maybe it jogs and stays on that side. I don't know. Currently, it's on that side of Hookers Point Road.
Well, we can,
But on 835, you know, we need to just look at where we have the most easement. And I think on 835, it's going to be on the west side of 835, heading north.
Okay.
Once you get that done, Shane, once you get that, you know, the only other option now is to carry all the way down to Tower Lakes and all of that,
Right.
which we need to eventually, but the volume just doesn't justify it like it does right now. The volume justifies it yesterday on what I just mentioned to you.
well, I'm bringing back the FDOT priorities.
Yes,
To
sir.
go to the Heartland TPO, and that's for us to prepare applications for sidewalks. It's the same list you get every year. I'll tell you the ones that got approved and off the list, which sidewalks got done. We can add these sidewalks to that. The board approves the list, and then we fill out the application and submit it to the Heartland TPO, and it goes in the bucket with everybody else, and they get ranked. So that won't be hard to do.
Carson, another spot in your district is that, I don't know what you call that road, is it Hendry? They're between Vallejo's and New Harvest Church that takes it down to that little RV park.
Yeah.
So a lot of those Canadians are riding their bikes right on the road, and I had Vallejo's tell me that they're gonna get hit right there.
Yeah, but they're French Canadian, so.
Preacher, did you hear that?
I heard nothing.
Sometimes you have to cover your ears.
I'll tell you
up.
what, it's crazy. It's crazy how many of the Canadians, I don't know what road they take to leave the back door of Crooked Hook.
Back out 27.
Yeah. And then they go straight down Hookers Point, right by the high school, come all the way down Harlem and go out. It's Georgia that takes you to the road, right? I just know it's the back way.
Well,
in
it's
Harlem.
riding at the dike, but they don't stop riding that trail. I don't know why, but they come out and go back and come down
Yeah, those cats,
San
man.
Francisco to Harlem. So
You gotta understand, in Canada, pedestrians have the right of way, period.
Yeah.
well, they supposed to be
That's
like
in
Not that way
Canada.
here, and they don't know it, that's all. Gotta be careful.
Well, they pull out some of them corn trucks. They gon' I'm just saying, oh,
Did you ever get your horse signs? I hate to bring that up, but.
no horse signs.
Is there anything else?
No, ma'am, that's it. Thank
So,
you.
Shane, thank you. Carson, just FYI, my sidewalks are coming, and there's some coming behind them. I took Mr. Harrison's spot, just FYI.
He made the motion.
So-
Strong, Ms. Bird.
I know he did. So we do have sidewalks coming. I appreciate, Tommy, the, equipment's coming in on A.A. Thomas Park. We thank U.S. Sugar, for providing for us, for our community. We also have a recreation person that's coming to help set up activities for the kids in the community for the whole, East Rec. So it's a lot of things going on. We really do appreciate it. We're looking for other things to come forth. Thank you for the support for Jesse. Long time coming. The kids need to know that they can be the first at doing some things. So with that being said, meeting's adjourned.